Hey everybody, welcome back with your boy being on Mac to another episode of WWF Smackdown, Just Bring It. Now this time, there's not going to be any guides or anything like that because this is just a final fun playthrough. This is going to be the last of the series, and I'm just doing this because of Kurt Angle. He has a special cutscene in this game that I absolutely love, so I figured, instead of just showcasing that, we're going to go through the whole story mode to Wrestlemania with Kurt Angle. And, I figured this is going to be the final send-off for the Smackdown Just Bring It series. I figured this time I'd leave in the Raw is War and the Smackdown cutscenes, because, they are really cool cutscenes. The in-game graphics they kind of reminds me of like WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy and Revenge. Those games were like they use the in-game models and stuff to create the cutscenes. I just think it's super cool. I think it's like one of the last Smackdown games to kind of have that kind of vibe, in my opinion anyway. As you can see, starting off, generic jerk-ass calls us out. This time it's Edge. Of course, he's got to look around confused, not knowing what he's going to say. Can't say I blame him. I don't know what I'm going to say when I get on this mic either. Thankfully, this is going to be the last time we have to see this text. The Rock instead of Rock, you can't hide backstage all night. Although I do have to wonder, what do you guys think? Do you guys like Edge better as a single star, or were you more of a fan of him and his hijinks than Edge and Christian? I always ask these kind of questions just because, like I said, I really do enjoy engaging with you guys in the comments. I was having issues for a while there. People would respond to comments when I respond to them, and their comments wouldn't show up. So, I fixed that now. When I can go to the comment section, I can just click on what the newest comments are, and people's replies finally show up, which is a pain. I don't know why. It's some sort of YouTube glitch. But I know a lot of people, they realistically don't watch this stuff too much, but even then, it's still, I love to engage with you guys in the comments. And I've had a few, people that are dedicated to the videos that, watch every video or a specific genre that goes on. And my wrestling game videos are usually the ones that do the best. The hockey games in particular, obviously. But, I love talking about the Attitude Era. And a lot of people, even though it was the most popular at the time, it's, people in life, they don't always like to talk about it. Which is, I'm not really a big fan of modern wrestling. So, I'm all about Ruthless Aggression Era, Attitude Era. I love the PG era. I love 2010, which a lot of people hated. I love seeing Sheamus's rise. I love Sheamus as world champion. That kind of stuff. And everybody's got opinions. So it's always nice to hear it and see, what other people enjoyed watching when they were watching wrestling. Or, what they think of the modern product, who their favorites are. Their favorite tag teams, favorite belt, all those kind of cool details. I'll talk about just about anything when it comes to wrestling. But as you can see, this isn't it, but like Kurt Angle, they really put a lot of more care into his things. It's still generic, same stuff. Him just spewing out his catchphrases, calling himself a superhero. But it's cool that you get to see at least a little bit of different dialogue. As you can see, if you watch any of the other playthroughs, it's just the same kind of dribble that comes out. I'm sure Chris Jericho has some pretty unique dialogue too, but I'm not going to get around to him, unfortunately. Just because in this playthrough, I think I cut it out actually, but it's one of those ones where, like, I have an emulator, and when I exited off from doing all the Legends playthroughs, unlocking all the hidden characters, I should say, not Legends, I must have forgot to save, because then all my progress for that whole day was just wiped, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this after this one. And I figure, you know, at some point, you know, after this playthrough, I could, you know, move on to another wrestling game. I plan on doing, you know, setting up my content so that way there's a little bit of something for everybody, hopefully on the days, you know. I plan on having, as you've noticed, on Saturdays, you know, I plan on that being, you know, the wrestling day where I play wrestling video games, usually the classics. I mean, I'm not going to, more than likely, I'm never going to play the modern WWE games. But, I mean, if people are interested in it, you know, I'm definitely going to try and keep it up. I know, realistically, you know, people really love the hockey videos. I should probably have kept, you know, I could probably just, in a way, milk those, I guess you could say. Everybody becomes known for something as a content creator. But, you know, it'd be cool if at some point I was able to make a few cents off of YouTube or something like that. But, you know, I don't have those delusions of grandeur or anything like that. I'm going to be this big YouTube star playing, you know, wrestling games or Mortal Kombat or something like that. But regardless, I just play these games because I enjoy it, you know, and it's fun to get my thoughts out on things, or once again try and engage with you guys and see, you know what you guys are interested in, what you like, and stuff like that. And, you know, even for some particular people, you know, I made a special video for one of my more dedicated fan members, and I don't really want to set this precedent that, you know, people that watch my videos, I'll make special content for you or anything like that. But I mean, they watched everything, so I mean, I owed it to them. I think I even made, you know, I made the wrong video that they wanted. You know, they're super big into the Ministry of Darkness, Undertaker and Stephanie McMahon stuff, so, you know, I tried to make something like that, but I thought they wanted, you know, the No Mercy American Badass one. But for the most part, you know, I upload daily, and, you know, obviously the more people to watch, the better. You know, it's always nice to see people wanting to interact with your content, watch it and whatnot, and, you know, being able to hopefully entertain people. You know I don't get too many return viewers, but, you know, that's just kind of what it's about. Just getting my thoughts, engaging with the subscribers if I can, setting up polls, you know, setting out the memes, and, you know, hopefully entertaining you guys as much as I can. This is quite the star-studded lineup. It's kind of the, you know, the guys at the time versus the future. You know, Edge and Eddie Guerrero obviously would be big deals in the Ruthless Aggression era. And Triple H, well, actually, realistically, I mean, I feel like Triple H and Kurt Angle were kind of the guys for the early part of the Ruthless Aggression era. I mean, you had guys like, you know, Brock Lesnar, and yeah, he was the man, but for me, I was always more of a Kurt Angle guy at that time. Whenever I think of the early Ruthless Aggression era, then it kind of transitioned into, like, John Cena was the Raw guy, Batista was the Smackdown guy, until eventually, you know, John Cena, like, the shows more or less became one, so then it was just kind of John Cena was the guy. But Smackdown, I think, used to be pretty great back in the day. Even after, you know, 2007, 2008, when, like, ECW came around and they had to split off the guys to kind of get more talent evenly spread across the show. I mean, on SmackDown, you usually still had guys like The Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, Batista was a mainstay. So, I mean, you had a lot of really good talent. And they still, even then, I feel like the vibe of both shows were different. I mean, Raw was definitely the one that felt like it was more important, but I still feel like SmackDown was viable in the sense of you just wanted to watch the actual matches rather than the storylines. But eventually it just became something where I think they kind of had that vibe in the PG era, but it was still, you know, there was no brand separation at that point. You know, everybody showed up on everything unless if you were John Cena, you just didn't show up on SmackDown. It's always one of those weird things too. I mean, whenever I think of, like, the brand split ending, I think it technically, the last one was in 2011, so there really wasn't this big gap. You know, things are a lot longer than you think but I think it was only 5 years later that the brand split started again. And I think the big deal, the big reason because of that was, without the brand split, they just weren't able to make SmackDown as watchable. And I mean, even then, like I said, I'm not a big fan of modern wrestling, so, but it did feel like, at least at the time when they first started, they were somewhat trying, you know, like AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose were big deals, and the beginning of the brand split, obviously Roman Reigns was a Raw guy, Finn Balor they tried to do something with, Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens were kind of, you know, big deals on Raw, but I just kind of fell out of, you know, love with it at that point. I'm more of a fan of, you know, the larger-than-life kind of characters rather than, you know, the indie kind of wrestlers and stuff. I'm a big fan of, you know, the entertainment with the storylines and stuff like that. And say what you will, I mean, I think the modern guys aren't as bad as, you know, most people like to complain about. But I mean, I think almost everybody can agree, you know. Maybe you disagree, let me know in the comments, but I feel like I would rather watch Kurt Angle, Triple H, Stone Cold, The Rock, even if the storylines weren't always the best, they were still entertaining to watch and just see. You know, they felt like big, massive stars, and I don't think it's all, you know, the fault of the modern day wrestlers. I think a big thing is you know, WWE wants to be the brand now, and even though Roman Reigns is the top guy, it's kind of like, I feel like more that often than not, people still think of it as, you know, the big brand. You know, they don't have those big breakout stars anymore, and I feel like they don't allow them to. But here's the cutscene. I'll let it play for you guys. I love that cutscene so much. And it's just always funny to see, you know, the dude's look on his face when he's drinking the milk. And I don't know why, it's just Goofy nods his head at the end like he understands, or he agrees Kurt really is a superhero or something like that. But I could have swore that took place during the Alliance, the Milk-a-Mania, I think they call it now, where, you know, Kurt came down to the ring with the milk truck, but for whatever reason, once again, it's one of those weird things, like the hectic schedule. Now they have it in the game, but no mention of the Alliance. It's just so weird to me. But regardless, it's probably my favorite thing in this whole game. The fact that they included it, which is so great. It's actually crazy. I think they made a few years ago, like a while ago, they actually made an action figure based off of that. I think he had like the milk truck was like the packaging, and then, you know, Kurt Angle with the jersey at the time they wore that was pretty cool, and then they had like a Stephanie McMahon and Stone Cold, and I think they had like Stephanie McMahon, you could swap the head to where like you know, the hair was soaked with milk, and they had the milk cartons, the hose. It was, I never actually got it, but it's such a cool concept, you know, like for an action figure. Like, I feel like when I was a kid, we never got, you know, crazy concepts for action figures like that, you know. We got some pretty cool ones. I grew up with the Jakks, and I love the Jakks action figures, you know, the Ruthless Aggression era, the Legends. You know, you look at it, you know, how they compare to the action figures now to, you look at how they compare to the action figures nowadays. You know, sometimes they barely even resemble the guy who they were supposed to be. But I mean, they still have that, you know, old world charm for me. I love the Ruthless Aggression action figures, and it brings me back to, you know, my childhood in that way, watching Smackdown and Raw. Although I couldn't watch Raw too often because you know, school nights and whatnot. That's why Smackdown was so great, in my opinion, because it was always on the weekend at that point. You know, later on, like past 2006. But yeah, sorry for the stuttering and stuff like that. Sometimes when I try and gather my thought, it doesn't always come out the way that I want it to. But I know a lot of people really did like those. I believe the Hasbros, like the 90s, and I think it was 90s figures actually. I think they actually have been making a comeback. Like they have new versions of wrestlers in that old Hasbro style now. So like I think they have like a Kevin Owens as a Hasbro, and you know, all that cool stuff. Which, if you're an action figure collector, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, I collect, you know, Mattel, WWE figures. I used to be a lot more bigger into it, but you know, I've collected so many guys. You know, I kind of have everybody that I'd like to have at this point. So it's very rare where I collect them now, but you know, I still have them in a box in storage somewhere. Just kind of, unfortunately, waiting until their moment to come back out and be displayed. And I've been a big fan of those Dragon Ball Z, I guess it's Dragon Ball just in general, the Dragon Stars. I think Bandai Namco, which is interesting because obviously they're the game publishers. So pretty cool that they're making action figures too. They're pretty low quality, the Dragon Stars ones are, but they're very affordable. And if you just want to have them displayed or something like that, or you know, I know my little brother collects them and he likes to play with them, even though they're pretty flimsy. So I mean, they definitely have some good playability. It's just things are so expensive nowadays that, you know, $20 it seems like a lot, at least in my opinion. But you know, that's just kind of the average price for even just a toy nowadays. It's so crazy. I feel so bad for parents around the holiday season, because I mean, it's like I feel like for big toys nowadays, you know, it would cost like $20 for like some, you know, animatronic dinosaur back in the day. Now it costs like $100. And you know, kids don't really care for the most part. They aren't gonna know about the prices and whatnot. Obviously, you know, Santa doesn't care about you know, prices of toys, but I mean, it's definitely getting harder and harder just to have you know, make a living these days and splurge a little bit. But not to go on this weird tangent about, you know, about life and while I'm playing a wrestling game or anything like that, but you know, just live within your means. Man, I almost shit my pants when I got hit with this. If I was Crash Holly, I would have been done. Why are there Trish Stratus signs in the crowd? Just no sound in the ankle lock. I tried so hard to get him to tap out with the ankle lock, but for whatever reason in this game, I mean, like I said, I'm not very good with the submission systems in this game, and it felt like no matter what, I mean, with the crippler crossface, if I tried, you know, I could probably do it in like one submission, then a crippler crossface, you know, because Chris Benoit was just that good in this game. But Kurt Angle with the ankle lock, it feels like his stats just aren't as good as they should be. You know, his reversal stats should probably be one of the highest in the game, but I just found myself having a more difficult time to reverse with him than, you know, even Kane. And then, you know, the ankle lock, I tried so many times, and as you can see, I haven't even gotten a fall yet. Neither has he, so I mean, that just goes to show how low his submission stat must be, or maybe there's some sort of button presses I'm supposed to be doing and I'm just not aware of. But I feel like with guys like Jericho and Benoit, they're just a lot easier to make people tap. That's a pretty cool submission move. I feel like that hasn't really returned in that many modern games, like the sideways figure four leg lock. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe because I mean they have so many submissions nowadays. I feel like for sure that's definitely not like a modern addition to the WWE games. There's no way. Because I think Triple H for a while was using like that modified sideways figure four leg lock as like a homage to Ric Flair and stuff. Which it's crazy to think, like, you have this game, you know, where Triple H is practically almost, you know, full-blown Attitude Era Triple H. The next game, you know, he's Shut Your Mouth. It's, I believe, Evolution's in that game. If I'm correct, and wait, no, that's Here Comes the Pain. My bad, but it's interesting to see just, you know, a few years later, you know, how quickly the storylines progressed and how wrestlers were. I mean, next game, Kurt Angle's bald. Triple H, I believe that was his face run right before he turned heel against Shawn Michaels and won the World Heavyweight. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. He didn't win the World Heavyweight title. He, I think Eric Bischoff just gave him the title, which was kind of lame, but it always kind of bothered me that they had two belts. I guess back then, you know, it was like the WCW belt and the WWE belt, which was kind of cool. But I kind of like the concept of one singular champion. There was a world champion that went from show to show, almost kind of like the classic territory styles for the NWA Championship. But even nowadays, like, they don't even have the World Heavyweight title. Like, I love the belts from back in the day, but you know, and this is a guy who doesn't even watch the modern products perspective, but I think they should have, instead of the US and Intercontinental titles, you know, I'm tired of seeing those lineages, you know, disrespected. Even during the Ruthless Aggression era, I wasn't usually the biggest fan of whoever held them. So, I mean, I think they should just have, you know, a Smackdown championship, a Raw championship, and then, you know, one World Heavyweight champion. And I think they even, like, introduced, for whatever reason, I think Roman Reigns is the undisputed champion. He's the WWE and the Universal, if I remember correctly. So then they introduced another world title underneath that, apparently. I think Seth Rollins was the first champion. And it's just so weird. Like, you have 3 world titles at this point. And, I mean, it would go, if they had the SmackDown and the Raw championship, it would fit their the bill that they want to have, where everything's uniform. And well, I think variety is kind of the spice of life in that way, I guess. I can see why they're going with that way, and if they're gonna do it, they should just kind of go all the way, especially since I'm not a big fan of the current designs of those title belts. But that's probably just me being, you know, an old geezer and being biased and just not liking anything that's new or something like that. But as you can see in this storyline, on the second week of SmackDown, no matter what, you automatically start off with that special Kurt Angle cutscene. So there's no way to actually change the storyline. You're going for the World Heavyweight title no matter what. So that's why it's kind of a separate path for me. And then, of course, you know, we got the last man standing. I cut out, like, that generic cutscene at the beginning of Wrestlemania where Vince McMahon announces himself as the special guest. If you're wondering, that's why he is. The Rock comes out, or I should say just the generic champion comes out. They don't say anything interesting. They're just, hey, this belt looks damn good on me. Don't you guys think so? I think I should hold this forever or whatever. And then Vince just comes out and says, in all fairness, let's do a last man standing match. So just in case if you were wondering, you didn't watch the other videos or you don't remember, that's why Vince is the special guest referee. Although it is disappointing they don't have his sleeveless variation. But apparently everybody in this game, like in the original SmackDown too, they would just swap out the parts because they had a head part, a torso part, and then a lower legs part. That you know, if you watch, you know, shameless plug, if you watch any of my Smackdown 2 videos, you can see a lot of that stuff. You know, you can see canceled characters that were supposed to be in the Smackdown series and hidden legends, and just kind of how the parts in that game work. But in this game, they had to forego that, so everybody in this game has like a special referee model, which is interesting. I mean, it was a lot of hard work. I feel like, once again, that's another reason why, you know, this game is so crazy and hectic. They went way overboard creating a unique model for everybody for like a special guest referee, which I certainly appreciate the effort, but it's one of those things where, like, you know, with how many people are in this game and the effort that would take to just kind of save and put all those models on the disc and everything like that, and the space it would take up, I'm sure that, you know, they agreed that it wouldn't be worth it. At least in Shut Your Mouth, all those extra models were, you know, alternate costumes you can unlock in, you know, season mode. Eventually I'm gonna get to Shut Your Mouth. I'm not sure what game I'm gonna play next though. You'll have to tune in next week for that one. Man, these guys just no-sell all of these moves in this game. They still hadn't really... It got better from Smackdown 2, but I feel like no-selling was still such a big deal, even in this game. People just would not stay down. Yeah, as you can see, you know, The Rock's getting up after 7. If it was me and I got hit with like one rock bottom after he got a finisher, I mean, Kurt Angle would be down. I don't know how they do it. I was mashing those buttons. Not this playthrough, but another playthrough. It's kind of how I figured out about that cutscene. But I don't know. The CPU in these last match standing matches, it's just so frustrating at times. It's a fun game, but it certainly kind of had its issues. The best part about this game was by far its multiplayer. I mean, having 8 people on the screen at once. I think you could only do 6 people with a multi-tap still. But I mean, that was, in my opinion, the best part of these Smackdown games for the PS2, is that you could have up to 6 people playing at once. And, you know, you're damn sure as hell, you know, I put out that multi-tap. I should say, you bet your ass I put out that multi-tap. You know? I didn't say that very confidently. Like I said, I'm just recording this off the cuff, so I'm sure I sound pretty awkward in all of my Just Bring It videos. But I mean, the memories I had as a kid playing, you know, Elimination Chambers with everybody, even if it was people that didn't even know what the hell was going on or how to play the game, it was just so awesome. Playing the SmackDown vs. Raw games, or, you know, Here Comes the Pain was a great one as well. And as you can see, that bastard keeps getting up. So I just tried to, you know, fill my meter as much as I could to hopefully get a taunt, or I mean, get a finisher. Yeah, hopefully I'm not boring you guys with my incessant rambling. And you know, people don't like the commentary videos. You know, I've kind of given a good run. You know, I think people are enjoying it. But if people are enjoying it, I'll just go back to, you know, no commentary. As you can see, I'm throwing everything I can think of at the wall just to get this dude to stay down. And without any weapons or anything like that, it's just, they don't really like to stay down for long. Another question I guess I'd have to ask you guys is in the comments, what is your favorite WrestleMania 17 match on the card? Because I mean, a lot of people say that show was just so perfect that it didn't even have a bad match on it. But I am curious to hear, was it, Raven, Kane, and Big Show for the hardcore title in a triple threat match? Was it Triple H versus The Undertaker, the TLC match between the Hardys, Edge and Christian Dudleys, Rock versus Austin? I mean, they had so many great matches. Like I said, this marks the last of the Just Bring It playthroughs. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Remember to like and subscribe for more daily content. Ring the bell to be notified of that daily content. And once again, like I said, comment your favorite WrestleMania 17 match. And quite frankly, if you think it's the best WrestleMania event they ever had. Thanks for watching, and remember, have a nice day.